Right now, your clutter-creating habits are automatic, and the goal is to replace them with clutter-clearing habits. Well, hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the From Chaos to Peace podcast, where I talk about how clutter is so much more than you think, and we put a spiritual twist on clearing that clutter to get organized. Thank you so much for allowing me back into your ears. Well, hello, my friend. I'm your host, Conny Graf. Welcome to this episode. And I just had a big spike in downloads last week. Yay! Maybe you're one of the new listeners who just discovered my podcast, but maybe you're also been with me for a long time. Either way, I'd like to get back to basics today and talk about a very important topic. If you really listen and take it to heart, it could change your life and your business. Big words, I know. Here's what I mean. First and foremost, I believe decluttering is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. I recorded a whole episode about this, so if you haven't listened to that one yet, after listening to this one, go check out episode 165. So again, what I mean is the solution to your chaos isn't an exhausting weekend-long decluttering frenzy every few months, only to let the clutter creep back in again. Instead, the real magic really happens when you start changing and tweaking your daily habits. And that's how you ultimately achieve a clutter-free and organized life and business. I often compare decluttering to losing weight, and the weekend-long decluttering frenzy to a crash diet. We all know, or at least we have heard, that crash diets don't work. They create a yo-yo effect, where you often end up with more weight than you had before. And it's similar with decluttering. If you don't change your daily habits, the chaos returns within days, weeks, or months, depending on how bad it was before. And because this cycle is so exhausting, it can feel even worse than before, leading you to give up altogether, thinking, I just can't be organized, which is not true. It's just you used the wrong approach. And that's why I always say a few minutes a day keeps the chaos away. I encourage you to develop simple, easy habits and systems that work for you, and ones that are eventually becoming automatic. Right now, your clutter-creating habits are automatic, and the goal is to replace them with clutter-clearing habits, or at least habits that support and sustain your ideal space. And of course, I'm not the only one who talks about the power of small, consistent actions. Even the famous actor Bruce Lee apparently said long time ago, long-term consistency trumps short-term intensity. James Clear's best-selling book Atomic Habits is one of my favorites on this topic of a few minutes a day or a few small consistent actions a day. And then there is also B.J. Fogg, a professor at Stanford University who teaches a program called Tiny Habits, and he also wrote a book about tiny habits. So I'd like to say I'm in good company. So rather than pushing yourself into a regular decluttering frenzy or marathon, my aim is to show you a way of decluttering and organizing that naturally integrates into your daily life. I really want to help you build simple habits that feel effortless over time. And being organized will then just be a natural side effect of how you live and how you work. I've also talked in many episodes about why decluttering is an act of self-love. It's not just about tidying, minimalism, or creating a showdown like home or office. For sure, it's not about creating a showroom like home or office, trust me. It's about creating a life you love, making room for new goals, dreams, and experiences. And so I invite you to practice awareness, to be kind to yourself, and to honor your own preferences and needs. What I share on this podcast is not prescriptive either. I won't tell you what to keep or what to let go of. I also don't follow strict decluttering rules like some other coaches do. Instead, I offer simple frameworks. If you put them into practice, they will help you discover what truly matters to you, expand your ability to appreciate what you already have, and make conscious choices about you're ready to release conscious choices what you are ready to release and also why. And then all this created space is really a way how you show yourself self-love, because living and working in chaos is stressful, and reducing stress is an act of self-care and self-love. Now, I know I talk about this a lot, but some of you may not hear it. And maybe it is for you like it was for my client. I want to share a quick story about one of my clients. So a while ago, I was coaching that client who had made some progress, but it was mainly mental insights. And don't get me wrong, having awareness about why there is so much clutter is really valuable. It's also the deep inner work that most people skip when they attempt to declutter their space. But even mental decluttering needs to be followed by action. My client had a mental block between understanding the problem and actually taking steps to fix it. So she kept saying she didn't want another to-do on her list. She wanted to focus on her real goals. But at the same time, she was really struggling to get anything done, to focus on anything in her really cluttered office. So maybe you had this experience too. You know what you need to do and even why you need to do it, but somehow you're still stuck. And trust me, I had this experience, not around clutter, but in other areas of my life and business. And this was really what my client's situation was. No matter how often I encouraged her to just try a few minutes a day, she couldn't get started. She wouldn't get started. And then finally, she committed to trying 10 minutes of decluttering per day, just to see what happened. But then in our next weekly email check-in, she admitted she had decluttered on some days but forgotten on others, and she still wasn't really convinced that it makes a difference. So I suggested being her daily accountability buddy. I asked her to send me a quick email or text every day with just the word done once she completed her 10 minutes. And sure enough, from that point on, I received an email almost every day at our next coaching call. She was like a completely different person. Her energy was up, her face was glowing, and she had the biggest smile you could imagine. And do you know what she said to me? Conny, this is like magic. It really works. You should really use this in your marketing material. Isn't that funny? I do say this in my marketing material all the time. I say it for years already. Easy for 5 years here on the podcast, and I think I talked about it for years before that. I say it so often, I sometimes worry I'm annoying people. And yet, there was my client somehow who had known me for years, who had never really heard me saying it. I mean, she may have heard me saying it, but it never landed. Isn't that amazing? We then spent the rest of this coaching session talking about why it worked and why it suddenly clicked for her. And once she truly understood that spending a few minutes a day decluttering wouldn't take time away from her big goal, in fact, it would actually help her reach that goal, she was finally all in. And those 10 minutes weren't just another task on her long to-do list. They became the to-do, a stepping stone to the success she wanted. And, you know, it really is like magic. If I could have a magic wand for my clients, for you listening right now, it would be this: to help you truly understand that a few minutes a day keeps the chaos away. It's not just a nice saying, it's really true. This small habit can help you reach your biggest life and business goals by creating space, calm, and ease. And we are creatures of habit, and our brains love repetition because it saves energy. Your job is to make sure you're repeating the right things every day, the things that support you, move you closer to your goals, and align with the life and business you want. Otherwise, it's an uphill battle that drains your energy and keeps you stuck. So if you feel overwhelmed by clutter and chaos, and if you don't know where to start, if you find yourself stuck in thinking rather than doing, then I hope you really hear me today. A few minutes a day keeps the chaos away. The life and business you want is on the other side of that clutter. To get there, one strong intention and one step at a time, in a few minutes a day that keep the chaos away. So, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you for listening all the way to the end and for being a supporter of the podcast. It means a lot. I'm not just saying this. It really means a lot. And if you struggle with clutter in your home, office, files, or finances, you can schedule a complimentary Chaos to Peace chat. I would really love to show you how I could help you get on your journey from chaos to peace in a few minutes a day. You can find the scheduling link in the show notes, and the show notes you find on my website under connygraf.com/podcast/252. Until next time, take good care and be safe.